Welcome to today's SeafoodNews.com video, sponsored by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute.
Good morning. We want to talk to you about haddock. There's a 50,000 ton, very healthy haddock stock off of New England and Canada. And the New England quota around Georges Bank is about 26,000 tons. Canadian quota for 2014 is going to be over 16,000 tons. And this class is seeing another huge spike in recruitment as one of the biggest year classes in history comes into the fishery this year. So in Canada, ports are booming. The fishing vessels have had a very good January. Incomes are up. Processing plants are operating. And in fact, all of the fishing ports in southwestern Nova Scotia are getting a nice economic bump. But if you look at New England, the ports are silent. There's barely any landings. There's no fish to process. And the fishing companies are on the verge of financial disaster. So what is the difference? The difference in my mind is that our management regulators, and specifically NMFS, has not made an effort to capture the economic value that is present in haddock. And this is crazy when our headlines for the last few years have been about the unmitigated disaster in New England fishing. In fact, the head of the council tells the Commerce Department that revenues in 2013 for ground fish are going to be down about 38%, and that in 2014 there's very little prospect of improving on that. So why isn't NMFS helping the industry to catch more haddock? First of all, the tools to catch the haddock are readily available. We need to open up some of these closed areas to haddock trawling where they traditionally trawled. We need to adjust the mesh size to a slightly smaller mesh size to allow the haddock trawls to be more efficient. And we need to have observer coverage that comes at a reasonable cost so that both the industry and the public can be certain that they're getting the results that they should be getting. Why isn't this happening? Well, the council voted to open the closed area last year. They voted to allow these smaller mesh sizes with a sort of type of excluder trawl that allows cod to escape. And they asked NMFS not to impose observer costs on the fleet because the current financial condition makes it almost impossible to pay the extra $7,000 to $10,000 per trip for Georges Bank to do this. NMFS refused. They got 20,000 letters generated by the environmental community claiming that opening the closed areas would be a disaster. The closed areas were originally closed 20 years ago in order to control fishing effort. But since we've gone into a system of individual quotas and hard tax, that fishing area effort is totally controlled. There's no possibility of landing over the quota anymore. So as a result, the rationale for the closed area is gone, but NMFS is afraid to take the steps to open it up for haddock fishing. This is, in a microcosm, the problems that exist in the reauthorization of Magnuson and why there's so much support in the industry to build flexibility. Because as one trawler owner said to me, you know, he has worked and sacrificed for years and argued with other owners about the need for these conservation regulations to rebuild stocks in New England. And now in New England we have 3 healthy stocks, haddock, pollock, and redfish. And yet only a tiny fraction of this is being landed, and haddock is going to be less than 10% of the quota. This type of travesty is really at the root of a lot of the fishery management problems today, and we think that NMFS has to correct this as quickly as possible. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sackton.
Today's SeafoodNews.com video was brought to you by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. Alaska has been protecting wild and sustainable seafood for generations and adheres to the most recognized and internationally accepted set of guidelines written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. For recipes and additional information, visit wildalaskaflavor.com.